Hi, I'm Anna and welcome back to my channel. Today is exciting because it's a new year, which means new beginnings, new challenges, a new year filled with new possibilities. It's awesome. And I got this cute Christmas sweater. It's very cute. And I'm in a really good mood. I've had the last few days off from school, so I'm a lot less stressed. But here we come to the whole premise of this video, which is it's a new year, which means new year bookish resolutions for me. So this year I kind of have 5/6 resolutions and I'm going to share it with you all. And one reason I'm filming this video is because a lot of YouTubers do this where they react to their videos from a year before and look at the resolutions they had for that year and then look back to see if they actually completed them and succeeded with them. And I kind of want to do that myself and start doing that every single year. So I am filming a video now, and next year I'm hoping to look back on my resolutions and see if I completed them all. So number one is I want to focus more on quality over quantity. So the last few years I've been really fixated on numbers and reading a lot of books. So, I look back on my month and I'm like, yeah, I read like 15 to 20 books. That is amazing. But I have noticed I'm fixating more on like getting the books done as opposed to just like really falling into worlds and stories and kind of slowing down to appreciate them. So this year I kind of want to slow down on my reading and just spend more time reading each book. I don't know how this is going to work, and I don't have like a quantitative number by which to judge this goal because it's kind of more abstract than that. So we'll see how I do. I just noticed it's really dark in my bookshelf, so I'm going to turn on an extra light above me. There, see, that's better. And also I bumped the camera, so now we're in a slightly different position. That's fine. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm not sure how I'm going to judge if I've succeeded with this goal because it's more like in my head and looking back. But yes, I do want to like slow down, maybe read slightly less books. I still have my Goodreads goal of 105 books this year. For the last few years, I've gotten up to almost 200 books, and I kind of want to pull that back to just staying around the 105 books. And yeah, sometimes I'll do like readathons where I'll read a bunch of books in like a week. But for the most part, I kind of want to slow down and read maybe 2 books at most a week, which still sounds like an incredible amount of books. Like 2 books a week is crazy, but I also don't want to like force myself to read 2 books a week. Like if I want to literally read 1 book a month, I am going to let myself. So we'll see how this works. I have a feeling I'll still want to read a lot and I'll go through books, but I also don't want to force myself to read a lot just to keep up with like a number track. So we'll see. So the number 2 goal is read 2 books a month that I own. I have this really bad habit. I mentioned it in my previous video or one of my previous videos. I don't remember. That I have a habit of buying books and being really excited to read them, but then I get library books and I realize, yeah, I have to prioritize the library books because they're due in 21 days, so I can't read the books I own, and then I get more library books and then rinse and repeat. That process repeats until I never read the books I have actually bought, which is another reason I'm considering getting rid of a lot of my books because I realize I tend to read more books from the library anyway, so why should I have and own all these books if I'm not going to like reread them? So I'm trying to keep only the books that I really enjoy rereading a lot. But my goal is to move away from that and to read a lot of the books that I own. Right now, currently on my bookshelf, I've pulled out, you probably can't see it behind you, but I've pulled out all the books that I haven't read, and so they're like an inch or 2 in front of the ones I have read. So I'm hoping to get through a lot of those books. If I get through 2 of my owned books per month, that is already like 24 books, and I have about a little over 100 books that I own that I haven't read, so that would be a pretty good chunk of them. I want to read more, but I also don't want to set too high of goal for myself, so I figured 2 is pretty good per month. Now, this next one is possibly going to be the hardest because I have a bad habit of going to the Goodwill, going to like used bookstores and just buying a bunch of books on impulse because they're cheap. But the next goal I'm setting for myself is going to restrain my buying addiction of books, and that is for every book I buy, I have to get rid of a book. Now, I feel like this will be incredibly hard to do because at this point I've gotten rid of a lot of books that I don't like, and most of the books I have, I at least gave an average to good rating, or I haven't read them and I don't want to get rid of a book before I've read it. So this will be kind of a harder goal to keep for myself. I am giving myself some exceptions. For example, if I get books as gifts, I'm not going to have to like get rid of a book because I didn't choose to get that book or buy that book. And the whole point I'm trying to force myself to achieve or learn is that I want to be more selective in the books I buy. I don't want to just buy on impulse quickly. I want to say, is this really a book that I know I would like, or that it's such a unique book? I don't want to just go out and say, oh, that's a book that I've been thinking about reading. Yeah, I'll buy that. Oh, that's a book that looks interesting. I'll buy that. I don't want to do that as much because of the access I have to the library system. This one I'm determined to keep. I'm going to force myself to keep it because it will force me to really think about buying books and not just impulse buying. The next one, my fourth resolution, is kind of similar to the read 2 books on my bookshelf, and that is simply read more books that I have on my TBR instead of reading new books that I haven't necessarily heard of that I just pick up randomly. Now, I have currently this notebook that I keep. It has a quote from Hamlet on the front, but this is where I keep my TBR. So for every, I don't know if you can see that, but for every book I have read, I cross it out in red, and for every book I have not read, well, it's just an empty square. So I have this notebook, and you know, there's a bunch on each page, and I have 48 pages. So, and this is like the more official TBR I have of books I really want to read, not necessarily books that I've heard of that I'm like, yeah, I want to read this someday. So this is like a conservative amount, but I do want to focus more on going through the books that are in here as opposed to just going on my library website and saying, you know, what looks good. And then my last resolution is a little bit about genres. Last year, I tried to read more sci-fi genres, so I read the Foundation series, the entire one by Isaac Asimov. I read the first original trilogy and then the 2 prequels, and I also read Ender's Game and Axiom End by Lindsay Ellis. My point is, I read a lot more sci-fi than I would have necessarily read because I really want to challenge myself to read genres that I'm not necessarily either comfortable with or that are outside my interest a little bit. But last year I focused more on sci-fi, and this year I want to focus more on fantasy, specifically epic fantasy. And what I mean more by epic fantasy are long fantasy books. So those that are over 500 pages, not necessarily the subgenre of epic fantasy. But with that, I definitely want to finish Lord of the Rings. That's like my biggest priority. I really want to finish. I have like a big book that contains the first 3 books, and I've read The Hobbit twice. I've now read The Fellowship of the Ring, and I need to get through the last 2 books. But then there's a lot of other books I want to read. I want to read, just in general, more things by Brandon Sanderson. I'm kind of intimidated by his writing because he tends to write very long books. I read Elantris, and I absolutely loved it. That was the first book I read by him. And then I read the Mistborn trilogy, and again, it was amazing, and I loved it. But I really want to read his Stormlight Archive, I believe it's called. Another thing is Terry Pratchett. I want to read more Terry Pratchett. I also want to get in the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. I don't have a quantitative number for this. Like, I'm not going to give myself like 2 books a month to read if like epic fantasy. I more want to just say I want to make a conscious effort to read more, not necessarily I need to read this many books a month. So there are my resolutions for 2021. I hope I succeed in them. I'm going to look back at the end of the year to see how successful I've been we will see. Also, next week I will not be having a typical video. I will be posting on Monday instead of Saturday because starting from January 4th, which is Monday, yes, Monday, I will be starting the Winterween Read-a-thon. I will put in the description a link to like the original video from Oliviareadsalatte. I think that's how to pronounce her channel's name. I really enjoy her channel. So I'm going to be doing that from January 4th to January 10th. So my video will be a couple days late because the 9th is a Saturday. So I won't be posting that Saturday, but I'll be posting the Monday, and I'm hoping to do like a weekly vlog of how I do on that challenge. I will be starting school that Monday, I believe. Yeah. So the Monday I post the video, I will be starting my next semester of college online entirely because of COVID. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. So just a quick announcement at the end of this video that that's going to be happening. And thank you all if you made it this far into the video. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoy my content, subscribe, like, click the bell notification if you want to be notified every time I post. I usually post every Saturday at 6 p.m., but next week it will be at Monday at 6 p.m. And if you have any of your own bookish resolutions, or you like mine, or you think of like a fantasy series I should try, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And thank you all for watching, and also Happy New Year, because yeah, yesterday was New Year's Day, so that's exciting. A new year has begun, and it will, I hope, be better than last year. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye!